Well, I understand I got a lot on my mind, a lot on my chest. That's why.
What's going on, everybody? Lloyd Angel Midnight Comics here, and welcome to another episode of Indie Breakdown, your show where we break you your favorite indie comic book characters, their stats, abilities, powers, in basically preparation for their indie versus matchup. We have another awesome guest here today. Met this gentleman at DreamCon. We got to hang out with him two years in a row, so definitely awesome. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and we're gonna talk about the story and the character. So 1 second, here he is. What's going on, bro?
This is Juice Lee, writer and the creator of the comic book Skrap. So yeah, that's pretty much the intro, the long and short of it. You know, I can give the elevator pitch for those who don't know. Basically, and I don't have a book near me. Why am I tripping? But yeah, Skrap is basically about our main character, Shannon Noble. She gets her black belt in traditional martial arts, gets thrown into the deep end of the world of MMA, and then finds out certain legends are more than just legends. I am very embarrassed that I don't have a anything like a book near me. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It is what it is. We'll figure that out. I'll meander around here, and hopefully by the end of the broadcast, I'll have a book for you. So
okay. So tell us about. We'll start with this. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration for Shannon, and then we're going to dive into her training and strength and all of that.
Okay, cool. So first of all, I'll tell you the inspiration for the story, just because I love to tell this story and I'll preface it by saying Skrap was never supposed to happen. So it was never my intention for Skrap to happen. What happened was this. Let's say 2011, I got invited to write for a Saturday morning cartoon. You know, it was like a cartoon pilot or whatever. These people, like, they found some stuff that I wrote or whatever, and they were trying to put together like a TV show. And I was like, all right, cool. You know, I mean, I've been writing for a while, you know what I mean? But this is my first like official writing gig. And I wrote with them, and they were working on a show. The show never went anywhere, but like they had a couple of side characters that I wrote like a pilot for, a little treatment for. And basically this little treatment, like, you know, I wrote it and they loved it. They never did anything with it. And, you know, eventually, like after a year of us like going back and forth with scripts and stuff like that, nothing ever happened and we parted ways. So anyway, like I was like, damn, you know, I saw, it's like one of those things where it's like I didn't get to the peak of the mountain, you know what I'm saying? I didn't get to the mountaintop, but I saw the mountaintop and I saw like, hey, this could be a thing I could do, you know what I'm saying? Like it could really be a thing. So it was in the back of my mind while I'm doing music and stuff like that. And so then I, like, maybe a year or two later, I come back to it and it's like, man, I'm gonna really look at that stuff that I did. It's like, okay, let me see if I can just make something on my own. And so I start writing like this story called Bite Division. And Bite Division was basically about like these kids in this neighborhood. It's pretty much the best way I could describe it is like it's Metal Gear Solid meets Uncharted, but with kids. You know what I'm saying? So,
okay.
You know, and like, but that was the genesis of what I was trying to write. You know what I'm saying? And like, I started writing it for a while, and like, I wrote a couple of episodes, but I was having like writer's block because I was like, man, I don't have no idea what I want to do with this. I'm coming up with stories and stuff like that. Well, in the midst of that story, the main character, Eric Noble, he's basically like, you know, the guy I've been centering everything around. He has his big sister, Shannon, and Shannon is like this, you know, crazy dope martial artist. And I was like, man, you know, if Bite Division got really popular, I would like make a spinoff with Shannon and it would be dope. And that would be like really cool. So, you know, and then like I went back to Bite Division. I was like, well, it's just a dream. It's a pipe dream, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I went back to Bite Division, started trying to write on it more, still having writer's block, still struggling. But this idea with Shannon, like, because I'm watching so many fights and I love martial arts so much, and it's just like, man, you know, maybe if I just wrote an episode, I just want to see how it goes. I'm still thinking of Bite Division. I'm focused on that. That's my thing. That's what I'm doing. But like I'm gonna just write this little thing with Shannon just to see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Then I wrote the first episode. You know what I'm saying? And I'm writing the screenplay format, mind you. So I wrote the first episode. I'm like, damn, that kind of felt good. That was kind of cool. Well, it's just I gotta go back to Fight Division. And I was like, then it just like it started messing with me. Like, well, let me just write like 2 more episodes and just have this thing that shows up, like this character that shows up, this Marishi Tan is like, because I had this idea for this and that'd be cool. And so I write 3 more episodes and like I get to that, I'm like, damn, I'm writing this. This is kind of cool. It's just like, but let me get back to Fight Division. I'm gonna do that. That's the main thing. Then I look up, I'm like, man, you know what? Well, and I was like, man, I still can't think of nothing with Bite Division. All right, let me just go back to this and I'm gonna just try to finish the first arc. You know what I'm saying? If I finish the first arc, it'd be out of my system. I ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah, it'd be good.
It'd be good. And I go and I just crank and finish like the first arc, and I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Like this kind of slap a little bit. Like, all right, but I'm still thinking about Bite Division. I'm still just that's what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? And then like next thing I know, I'm like, all right, well, I know I got the whole arc, and let me just get some concept art, man. I'm gonna just get some concept art.
The downward spiral.
Yeah, it's just like it'd be fine. It's just I just get a little concept art, and then I get the artwork back. And the original artwork that I got back for Shannon and like Slash and like a couple other characters, it was trash. Oh. And I was like, oh no, this is no bueno. I was like, okay, let's try this again. And then I go and like find another artist, like because this is on Fiverr. I go and find another artist. I'm like, all right, let me get something else. And then like they bring me back some art, and I'm like, this kind of better. All right, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but it's just gonna end here. And we just, And so I just like randomly put it up on Instagram, like a couple of images, like of the newer art for Shannon and like a couple of other characters, and people were like, "Yo, what is this? What are you doing with this?" Like, I'm like,
it was just a concept, unless
it was
you
just
want
a thing. I just, and then it's like, man, you should really go with this. You should do something with this. Like, okay, shit, okay, well, all right, let me just see what's up. And then like I start really thinking about it, like maybe if I do like one book, like how much would it cost to do a book? How much would it cost to do this? How much would it and I just kept thinking about it. I was like, okay, all right, I rearranged some things in my life and was just like, I'm gonna make this first book. And then once I made that first book, I was like, okay, this is what we doing now. You know what I'm saying? Because like everybody just was like, this is the ticket, bro. You know what I'm saying? This is really the ticket. And so from that point on, it was just like, I guess we about to ride this one. You know what I'm saying? And like, so again, it was one of those things. It was just like, it was never supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, I did not plan this at all. I did not like think that, because it was just like, man, this is just to be a cool little side story. It'd be all right,
But it turned into so much more.
It just turned into this thing, and I'm like, wow, okay, you know what I mean? That's what's up, you know what I mean? So, and that's all I can really say on it, man. It's just like it has been an interesting and very exciting adventure that I didn't anticipate. You know what I'm saying? I didn't anticipate like any of this. I just like, because I was so set on like doing the Bite Division stuff and like doing my music and doing all this other stuff, and then like this thing just kind of like took over my life, and I was like, well, all right then, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, that's
I'm over here just intently listening because I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. We've been chatting for a couple of years now. It's just like, wow, wait a second. It wasn't supposed to be a story? What?
No, it wasn't. It was not. It was never supposed. Like if I showed you the original script. So here's a weird again, this is a lot of stuff. When I look at it, it's like, man, none of this was supposed to happen. So when I showed you the original script, if I show you the original like 16 teleplays, because they're all in screenplay format. It's 16 episodes. So if I show you that, like, there's a couple of key things in it. So number one, there is no Zakiah. You know what I'm saying? Zakiah is like the most popular character, like in
She didn't
Skrap.
even
Like,
exist.
yeah, she didn't even exist in that. Zakiah, like when I was writing the screenplay, Zakiah was supposed to like start the second arc. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, hey, let's see. I was doing with her. I was like doing stuff with her. Was like, hey, we're gonna have this whole thing where Zakiah shows up like in Shannon's in Abu Dhabi, because like for those who don't know, like Abu Dhabi, like there's a huge MMA like contingent in Abu Dhabi, like specifically Abu Dhabi. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this major grappling tournament that's held all over the world now, but it's called ADCC. But ADCC stands for Abu Dhabi Combat Club. And so from what I understand is when the Gracies were like, campaigning and showing jujitsu all over the world back in like the 70s and 80s, they somehow got involved with like one of the princes over in like Abu Dhabi, you know what I'm saying? And like they taught them jujitsu, and like they loved jujitsu so much that they were like, yo, we should have tournaments here. You know what I'm saying? Let's make an event. And like in the Middle East, they all about that opulence, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, yeah, let's make this thing. And so like the Abu Dhabi Combat Club like started that way, you know what I'm saying? And so like it became like this major thing where like all of the top guys and girls, like all of the top guys and girls, like black belts from all over the world would compete and stuff like that. So it's a major tournament. And given that Abu Dhabi and like Dubai and all those places have like, their opulence with, just massive amounts of wealth and all that stuff like that, is like, it's a thing, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's what I was saying with Zakiah was, she was supposed to show up in that arc, and like it was supposed to be like, hey, I hadn't seen you in a minute, and then like she was seeing Shannon, and like they was just like basically rekindling their friendship and all this other stuff. The problem with that was I started writing that story, and like that's still like a big story I want to do, because there's so many cool things I have like planned for that story, but that's like way down the road. But like the thing was when I made Zakiah, I originally like was like, she's gonna be in this arc and it's gonna be cool. So in that time of me showing like these characters, these concept art of these characters and stuff like that, I hooked up with this dude, and like he did like a bunch of art for me. And I was like, well, let's make her best friend, maybe from high school that she hadn't seen in a while. And I wanted it to be this goth girl that did kung fu, this goth black girl that did kung fu. You know what I'm saying? And like just because like whenever you see like the goth kids in and it's changed now, but like whenever you see in the goth kids in like previous media, it would be like, here are all the goth kids, here are the outsider alt kids or whatever, and then they would have the one token black girl or one token black guy that was in the background that looked cool, that never said anything. You know what I'm saying? And they're just back there. They're literally just scenery. They maybe have 2 lines in the whole thing, but like that's it. And I was like, what if you did something with a character like that? You know what I'm saying? And it's cool now because like you got like that whole aesthetic. You got black girls that have this whole alt black girl aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, and so they immediately see her. They're like, holy shit! Like I resonate with her. This and this. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's one of those really cool things to see that. And plus, like it also like her design also came from the idea of, I just wanted to like, I was listening to this Kanye West song called "Say You Will," and there's a remix. There's like a Caroline. It's like the Caroline Shaw mix, and there's like some really haunting chorus in there. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, this is dope. And it just started like firing out. Like my brain was like, what if you had? Because like in addition to the whole I wanted the goth black girl to have a voice. It really the real genesis of that was the fact that like I was like, what if you had, because the song made me think of like Lost Boys, but like with like POC kids. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was like, what if you did that? Like, what if there was a Lost Boys, but it was like all the kids were like POC kids? You know what I'm saying? And like that you had like these goth kids that were vampires and stuff like that. I was like, that would be nuts. And I had never seen that before. And so I was like, nobody's ever gonna make that. But like at least I can take a character. Yeah, at least I can take a character and like put them in my story since nobody's ever gonna make that. You know what I'm saying? And that's really where she came from. And so I put her in, like I did her concept art and I put it out there. And again, this is at the time I'm uploading concept art. And I got like I got 2 issues out at that time. And everybody just went nuts over her. Like, oh my God, this is this isn't this. I want to see what she does. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I had to completely rewrite issue 3 to put her in it. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a completely different story that I had for issue 3. And like, that's where it was like, okay, now I have to go through and like start inserting her into all of these different like things as I rewrite the script and readapt the script into comic format. And so like that's been an interesting challenge, but not really a challenge because it's all these cool places that she could pop up. And like, you know, she's such a fun character and such a staple character. Like it's gotten to the point where like now I have a book, like issue 10 of Skrap is like how they met, how Shannon and Zakiah met. You know what I'm saying? So it's like backwards. Basically like this. It's basically like a 2-part story, but it's them meeting in high school, and they end up because Shannon basically gets Fresh Prince. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she gets Fresh Prince, where it's like she gets into, you know, some fight that we don't specify or whatever, but her mom says like, okay, look, I'm gonna send you to this like instead of sending her off to like an Uncle Phil or whoever, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, here's this private school that like is super expensive because I have like some serious connections. Like Shannon's not rich, you know what I'm saying? And her mom's not rich or anything like that. It's just her mom knows very influential people and they need favors.
Got the connections.
So yeah, so she got them connections like that. And so, you know, it's like, I'm gonna pull some strings to get you into this school, and hopefully you don't get into fights and like, you know, do anything crazy. You know what I'm saying? And so that happens. You know, Shannon goes to the school, like trying to keep it cool, trying to be like, hey, I'm just here. Nobody bother me. I just want to do my work. I want to leave. Do. And basically like she ends up getting into this like clique, and the clique has problems. And like basically what happens is the clique, she ends up falling out with the clique. You know what I'm saying? And the clique is like, well, we don't want you around, and we're gonna make your life a living hell at school. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, her not trying to fight people, Zakiah shows up because she's forced to go to the school for like other reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And, you know, but Zakiah is actually really rich. You know what I'm saying? Like really
complete opposite. That's why we see her just popping in and out every so often.
Yeah, like she's like really rich. So she pops in and like she's like, oh, well, I'm going to this school, and like, you know, something happens, like without giving away too much of the story, but basically stuff happens to where Zakiah is like basically become enemies with Shannon to curry the favor of this clique. You know what I'm saying? And so it comes out that like, oh, Shannon knows how to fight, but Zakiah's like, I know how to fight too. So, you know, we can make it do what it do. You know what I'm saying? And so It's like this whole thing of them being rivals and one-upping each other, but like also like fighting each other without being caught. You know what I'm saying? So they start to realize that there's so much like as far as like how competitive and how like, you know, how skilled they are. There's so much they're equal. You know what I'm saying? There's so much like equal. Like, why the hell do I want to fight this person? She's like the coolest person here. Like both of them are having the same thought. Like you're the coolest person here, and why the hell do I want to keep fighting you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it becomes that. It becomes this whole thing of now we have to figure out like, you know, everybody else wants us to fight, but we don't want to fight each other because we're kind of cool with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just them navigating that whole thing. So it's a very interesting story, man. But like it's basically how they're enemies and then they become friends and then like they really become best friends. Just the fact that like because they hate everybody else at that school. Like everybody else at that school is trash. You know what I'm saying? And
So you
like
said something just now,
yeah,
which is a really good segue. So at first, I was really only going to talk about Shannon at first, but
yeah,
Zakiah.
yeah,
Let's talk about both of their trainings.
yeah.
Excuse me.
So basically let me start with Shannon because Shannon's the main character. But like so the thing with Shannon was and I'll give you the inspiration too, and we'll go back from that too, because that was something you asked earlier, and I just kind of segued off of that. But the inspiration for Shannon was this idea that like many years ago, like I watched this, I don't know, it was like Good Morning America or something like that. And you know, I've been watching UFC fights for a while and stuff like that. And they had like a cast, for like their Ultimate Fighter. I forget which season it was, but it was an Ultimate Fighter season where they were like just integrating the women into the Ultimate Fighter show and stuff like that. And they had some of the girls on the Good Morning America show. And it wasn't actually Good Morning America, it was something else. But
some morning show.
Yeah, it was some morning show. But like, you know, the girls were interacting and like you had all these white girls or whatever, and then you had this one black girl. And this one black girl, she was her name's Angela Hill. And this one black girl with this wild ass mohawk is like, you know, they're all like interacting with the host and stuff like that. And it was just like looking at her, I was like, she's about to be in the UFC. She's about to fight in the UFC. Like, holy shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, all right. What? And then it just like everything started turning like, what would a black woman UFC champion look like?
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's where I started being like, this is what she's going to be. This is what Shannon is going to be. And I started like, I actually went through Angela Hill's like Instagram. And like Shannon's street clothes are actually based on like there's this picture that some photo shoot Angela Hill did, like this had to be like 2014, 2015, something like around there. I had to go deep into her archives. But like she's just doing a photo shoot. It was supposed to be like a Black Panther type photo shoot or something like that. But she's got like you know, this army jacket on and sunglasses and like, you know, these combat boots or whatever. And I was like, that's her. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what she would look like outside of her gear. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I went and it was on and cracking from there. And so like I actually got a chance to talk to Angela Hill for a split second. This was like when I did the campaign for issue 5. So she shouted out the stuff and all of that. But like that was cool. So but yeah, I would love to actually meet her like in real life, person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you are a representation of all of this, you know what I'm saying? So but the crazy thing is like as I've done this whole thing, I've actually like come across a lot of Black women martial artists that are like super dope, and like I see so much of like Shannon in all of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, this is crazy. And like, and I'm making this thing, and I'm like, yo, y'all got to see this. And like a couple of them, like this is this younger girl, and I want to say her last name is Ellis. No, Taylor Henshaw. I like their last name is Henshaw, but or Taylor Ellis Henshaw. Anyway, she goes by A Kind Savage on Instagram. But yeah, she's like a big fan of the book, and she actually goes and competes like, you know, all over the world. She's like 16, but she goes and competes like all over the world, and like she goes to Abu Dhabi. You know what I'm saying? And
like, wow, so right, full circle moment.
Yeah. And so it's like, so she sees the joint, and like, and actually, you know, the most recent picture it's 2 pictures I actually based off of her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a big fan of the book, you know. And so there's two pictures I based off of her. The one is there's an image that I have. I wish I could post images on the chat. I don't know how you do that, like, because it'd be cool to see it. But like, there's one image that I have of her of Shannon where she was at and it's actually from Taylor's picture. Taylor was like at a grappling competition, and like I guess like her dad or whatever, they took a picture of her. She's like got this girl mounted, and she like poses for the picture and like smiles. You know what I'm saying? Like she's got the girl mounted in the middle of the competition and she's like smiling or whatever. And so I was like, I'm gonna make Shannon have the picture like that. And so like I hooked up with my homie Anthony, and like we made it happen. And like I put a little spin on it, but it was like it's the same thing though. It's just like like Shannon's throwing up the little, you know, the hang loose or whatever while she's got the girl like mounted or whatever. She's smiling for the camera. And but like Taylor just got the girl like locked up. So anyway, but like that, you know what I'm saying? Then there's another picture of her. She like apparently she always rocks a bonnet. You know what I'm saying? Like Taylor always rocks a bonnet, like whenever she's like hanging out or whatever. You know, black girl shit. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
But she rocked the bonnet, and like I was like, man, what? And she had I think she had some picture on one of her stories where she had like a tracksuit and she had the bonnet on, and I was like, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna switch it up. And so I did the post-fight press conference with Shannon, and she's rocking the bonnet, and you got the title next to her, and like I was like, yeah, this is slick. But it's stuff like that. Yeah, this is stuff like that I absolutely love. But anyway,
the real world connections.
Yeah, but it's stuff like that I absolutely love, and like I said, apparently it resonates with a lot of black women, like. And so I'm like, yo, I want to do that because I want to see y'all. You know what I'm saying? I want to see y'all in this way. And plus, like, there's very few like shonen style titles that will have like black women at the forefront, if any. I don't think there are any really. You know what I'm saying? If there are, I haven't seen them. You know what I'm saying? Because usually it's like, especially with a lot of black creators, you got like a lot of people doing a lot of different stuff, you know what I'm saying? But then like if you do like to any type of martial arts shonen type thing, then it's usually like you got the guy, you got the big swole dude that's in front, you know what I'm saying? He might have a crispy lineup, you know, or you got like locks, or you got like the Goku hair or something like that, and then you got the girl in the back, you know what I'm saying? And then that's it, you know what I'm saying? And so, and like you can go down the list of like, it's so many dudes. Like I see that, like, you know, again, not knocking them, not, you know, everybody doing their own thing.
Opportunity. You saw an opportunity.
They doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, but I just noticed that, like, I was like, damn, they just, you know, and I was like, man, nobody else is doing this, what I'm doing. So I'm like, let me again ride this more. You know what I mean? But that brings me back to Zakiah. So, with Zakiah was you know, again, like I said, you know, the inspiration, the Lost Boys, the you know, just I wanted to see like a cool goth black girl do stuff. But like it's so interesting how she connects, like as far as her training goes, because she does kung fu, you know what I'm saying? And she does like she was trained by this woman, this old Chinese woman, who I will, without getting too much into her story and the reason of it, this old Chinese woman is essentially immortal. You know what I'm saying? And so,
you know, not to interrupt you, but I was going to ask, like, is she going, like, how man should be on the same level, right? Because, you know, I'm sure you'll talk about when we dive back into Shannon, but
yeah,
the inner depths of power she can pull from. It's like, well, how is Zakiah keeping up with that? But okay.
Yeah, so cool. There's a whole other thing, and so that's another thing. There's another picture I have of Zakiah with this particular weapon, and it's called the Aether Vine. But like it's like kind of a story that's involved where she gets this thing called the Aether Vine, and the Aether Vine is like, you played Soul Calibur, right? Like, okay, so you know Ivy from Soul Calibur. So yes. It's like the Aether Vine is kind of like, it's kind of based on one of her swords from like Soul Calibur, I think 2, where she had like an actual ivy vine, you know what I'm saying? And like they turned it into like her sword or whatever. So it's actually based on that. But the actual sword itself was I modeled it after the bleeding heart flower. You know what I'm saying? So, and a bleeding heart flower actually is used like, I think from what I understand, like it can be used to make poisons. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't know if they're fatal poisons, but they're poisons. But like,
poison, right?
Yeah. So, but I was like, okay, that's really cool. You know what I'm saying? So, and also it's a really pretty looking flower too. But like, I was just like, that whole thing is the woman that trains Zakiah and taught her all this kung fu stuff, and that's why she has the claws. Like that kind of gives her the element because she knows like these different kung fu styles, and but we make her styles more lethal. You know what I'm saying? Because Zakiah is more Zakiah represents like the lethality of martial arts. Is that a word? Lethality? I feel like it is. I feel like it is. I'm hoping it is.
Hey, close enough. It is today.
Yeah, it's gonna be today. But no, like the lethal nature of martial arts that like, you know, where Shannon represents like the sport of martial arts. You know what I'm saying? She represents those sporting rules. That's why like even this shirt I have, you know what I'm saying? This shirt I have, it's like a Zakiah shirt. So which I again, it's available on my little shop. It says I don't jab, I stab. And it's the reason why is because like everything that Zakiah does, she's trying to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Everything that she does, like when she fights you, she's trying to kill you. She's not trying to, hey, I'm scoring points or anything like that. It's like, yeah, she represents that side of martial arts where it's like, I would like to maim you. You know what I'm saying? And
I would say
that
was how it's meant to be, right?
Yeah, like I need to maim you. You know what I mean? And so that a lot of that comes out in her personality, and like because it comes out in her personality, it's like Shannon has to like she have to rein her in sometimes. Like, hey man, like, and then on top of that, you think about this girl who is obscenely rich. You know, her parents are obscenely rich, so you know her emotional adjustment is not, or emotional intelligence, or
it's
being
not all the way there.
It's not all the way there. You know what I'm saying? Like
So
I don't know the consequences of my actions because everybody's really rich and like I can get out of a lot of stuff I can. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, because there was actually a line in I think it's in issue 9 of Skrap where they were like you know, I think it was like they end up getting locked up. Everybody ends up getting locked up because of some crazy stuff that happens. And like Zakiah is like, everybody else is like, hey, I've never been locked up before. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're, you know, in the little just not counting jail. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're in holding, you know, that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Where the police like, hey, we picked you up. We're going to book you. And you're just in holding until somebody posts your bail, yada, yada, yada. You know, that whole deal. Anyway, so everybody else is kind of freaking out. Shannon's like, damn, I ain't never had this happen. This other girl's like, damn, I ain't never had this happen. Like, I ain't never been arrested before. Like, how the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the crap, you know? And Zakiah's just kind of like, they're like, hey, how are you so cool about this? Like, have you been arrested before? And like, Zakiah's like, just like, well, I mean, not in this country, but you know, it's like, and she just kind of says it like casually, like, just not in this country. But yeah, I mean, I've been arrested. It's fine. It's cool, you know. So
let me ask this then. They're both two sides of the same coin almost in regard to martial arts and what have you. Now, in regards to physical strength, are they, would you say, like stronger than the average person or just more talented in fighting technique?
It really depends. Like, so when they are just as far as like if they're fighting regular, they're pretty normal strength. This is why Zakiah has the claws, and like she keeps knives on her. She keeps all these things on her where it's like, hey, you know, I'm probably gonna stab you, or I'm going to cut your tendons, or I'm going to do something to blind you, or maim you, or anything like that if I happen to get into a fight. Because again, going back to, you know, a future issue, there is a fight where like Shannon and Zakiah like end up like fighting this guy who is like 6'5" and like freaking 280 pounds or whatever, and like they have to attack him like a movie monster. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, hey, Shannon goes high with the sidekick, and then Zakaia's like cutting this dude's Achilles tendon. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, we
like,
might have to get them as a tag team since we talking
yeah,
about it like this. So,
yeah.
how many
That's
years
cool.
of training do they have between the? Well, how many years of training does Shannon have? How many years of training does Zakiah have?
So they are 19. They're 19 respectively at the start of the story. So, I would say like both combined. I would say they got combined like 20 years of training. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like that's why I say like they really are very like they're very Ryu and Ken, where like what I'm saying, they started training at a very early age, and then like they never stopped. So when they get to they get to like their late teens, early 20s, what I'm saying, you talking about like 10, 12 years of just straight doing martial arts, what I'm saying, nonstop,
That's
so
okay. Now, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but of course we've seen in some of those early chapters that, like we mentioned earlier, the power that she could draw it, if you would.
yes.
Do you want to?
Yeah,
are you able to dive into that? You don't think that's spoiler?
We can talk a little bit. We can talk a little bit about the idea of the formless state. Like, I can't really like get into how deep it goes, but I will get into the surface level of it.
Okay, perfect.
And the principle of the formless state is this. And this is just the idea that when you go through when you'll see this in like, for anybody who wants to like read up to issue 3, this is explained. Like basically in like issue 3, Shannon's teacher explains that like there is this other realm, where the Marishi 10, the goddess of combat, resides. And like in this other realm, there is you basically are, and it is different for every single person, but if you manage to go to this other realm, you will end up basically being confronted with a trial. You know what I'm saying? And the trial it's the trial of the Marishi 10, or the trial of the formless. And basically that is it's trying to take you to, it's trying to put you in a situation to take you to that point where like nothing else like matters, and you're really like kind of locked into your survival, locked into like this zone. And if you pass the test, you'll get access to what's called the formless state. And the formless state is this state where like you can pretty much like, you're basically a Wikipedia of like all martial arts in human history. You know what I'm saying? So, but the problem with that though is like you get this ability, and then you get like enhanced strength and speed and all that stuff with it. But in the time that you're using it, it's burning your body up. You know what I'm saying? So think about like, the best example I've always given to people with the Marishi 10 and the formless state and everything like that is it's like Kaioken. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, so it's like Kaioken. So there's a limited time that you can use it, but like in that time you can use it, you can destroy a lot of stuff. So it's like the thing about it is like, for somebody like Shannon who's young, who has a very fit body and everything like that, it's gonna be she's gonna be way more effective with it than like maybe her teacher using it, who's like in his 50s. Like he can do some damage, he can do some real, he can crush a lot of stuff with it, but the problem is like he can't use it for as long, and like when he comes out of it, it's gonna be like, here's another 20 years tacked onto your body, So
right.
Yeah.
So no amount of rest is getting that back. Like it's like really taxing.
Yeah, exactly. So
okay.
That's the thing. So it's like for a younger person to use a formless state, hey, you can use it, you know what I'm saying? And like granted, it's coming out in the wash on the back end, but like, while you're in your 20s, your early 20s, your teens or whatever, Oh
You're not
yeah, you
thinking
can.
about that part.
Yeah, you ain't think about that. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna come out in the wash on the back end like later. So, but yeah, that's kind of the thing of the formless state. But like, yeah, you will be heightened strength, heightened speed, and then you just like it's just all like crazy amounts of like martial arts knowledge. Like, just imagine being able to
Pull from
have
the whole
like
repertoire.
yeah, the fighting acumen of like, you're talking about guys like just throwing out there, like a Floyd, Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, all these people, like all their fighting acumen, their knowledge and everything like that, and like their teachers and the people who taught them, and like all that stuff like in your head, like for this moment. So it's like whatever someone tries to throw at you, bro, like what are they
You're
doing?
ready. So,
Yeah,
question then.
yeah,
After they utilize the formless state and they
yeah.
have access to that, do they forget it once they exit that state?
Yeah, for the most part, like it's like they do, like it's some stuff you retain, but like for the most part, it's like it would be kind of like a dream. You know what I'm saying? It would
Kind
be
of a
kind of like,
fleeting thought.
yeah. So it's like when you think about it, and that's actually a good question because I never thought of that. But like,
Oh, okay.
well, yeah, like it's kind of, it would be kind of more like a dream. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, hey, I know all this stuff and then I can always recall it. Da 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 da. It's like it would be like you think about dreams that you've had in your life, and it's just like there are certain dreams that you've had where it's like you remember one thing of the dream, or you remember a certain image of the dream,
But
or
not the
you
whole
remember,
thing.
you know what I mean? And it's just like, but it ain't, you can't remember like everything that happened in the dream. You know what I mean? So it's like that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now, still on the formless state.
Yeah.
But what level of physical strength and speed and all that are they able to attain while in that form?
I would say, I mean, it ain't gonna be no Goku type stuff. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, no.
Yeah, that's just absurd. No, but it would be like,
Like a Captain America type
yeah,
joint?
it would be like that. It would be like
Okay.
a cap, or like, it would definitely be like super soldier level. You know what I'm saying? So that would be the move. So it's like that's what makes it crazy, because like you have that, and then you have like the enhanced speed or whatever. Because there is a moment, I think it's in issue 3, where like when Shannon's teacher gets it, because he gets it for the first time, and like he was
That was a
like
flashback
basically,
joint, right?
yeah, that was a flashback, but he was like in his early 20s. He was like in his early mid 20s when he first did it, but like that was situation was basically like he was dodging bullets. You know what I'm saying? So, it was like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's what makes it like such a crazy art, you know what I'm saying? Or not art, but like a crazy ability, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you only get it for so long. You know what I mean? And then like you can tap into it. You can tap into it like over time. You can tap into it a little bit, but like it does, like as you get older, it has so much of a taxing thing on you that you really don't want to do it unless you absolutely have to. You know what I mean?
So what is does their body get more durable while using it by chance?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So the body gets more durable, but that doesn't mean like, you about to do superhuman feats like, hold your breath forever or anything like that. So like your body can get more durable, your bones can become more denser. But the thing about like, and this is the other thing about like stuff like jujitsu, with jujitsu, or like specifically jujitsu, it's not about how hard your bones are. You know what I'm saying? Because jujitsu is joint manipulation. You know what I mean? So, somebody might be able to be like, okay, they get you in a particular choke, and that choke gets like locked in deep. You could still go out. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be in a formless state, or you could pop into it, and like if they've already sunk in this choke, it's not like, hey, this is gonna help me like
You're not
survive.
gonna break out of it all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like that. Like certain things, like maybe an arm bar or something like that. Like if they don't have an arm bar like locked or whatever, then yeah, you can throw them off, because that actually happens in issue 1. But like a choke or something like that, they got the choke like locked in, because for people who don't know, there's different types of chokes. So there is a blood choke and there is a air choke. You know what I'm saying? So blood chokes are like chokes that like would be like on your carotid artery. You know what I'm saying? And so basically like these are chokes where like you could breathe, but because your carotid artery is being like collapsed, you're cutting off the circulation to your brain. You know what I'm saying? And you cut off your circulation to your brain, you only have a few seconds. You know what I'm saying? Wind chokes are just chokes, like you said, where you just can't breathe. Like air chokes, like it's certain air chokes you can do where just like a guy just can't breathe, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? So like a rear naked choke is a blood choke. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, it's a blood choke. Something like maybe a gogoplata or something like that. That could technically be like a wind choke. You know what I'm saying? Or like a bread cutter choke or an Ezekiel choke. Like an Ezekiel choke is one of my favorite chokes, but like basically your head would be like right here, and I'm collapsing your windpipe. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you're gonna go out as you're gonna stop breathing. You know what I mean? So but yeah, those are things like that. Or like the classic, jujitsu triangle, that's like a blood choke. So, once I lock in like my legs, it's like I'm on your carotid artery and everything is just gonna start going dark. Because that's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? So
what I think I love most is how true to the style you keep it, like how real technical you keep the martial art in it. Something that like say like an early Dragon Ball did, where it's just like there's actually technique, there's style, there's finesse. It's not, hey, I'm super powerful, I'm gonna throw this blast out, or hey, I'm gonna go in this formless state and now I'm the ultimate for life form, right? Like no, like a level of finesse that needs to be there, and I like that.
And see that was the other thing is like we like later on there are characters where I play with the idea of a formless state where it's like because there's a stone from this mountain, which is actually a real mountain. It's a Mount Kailash. And Mount Kailash is like in the Himalayas. It has some weird lore with it. Like nobody's ever scaled it. And they believe that the locals in that area believe that gods like Shiva and everything like that, like all those gods live in that mountain.
That place that has that ridiculous path to get there?
Yeah, like you have to walk around it. And like if you walk around it, it takes 3 days to walk around it. But like what people have said is that like if you walk around it and you do the whole 3 days or whatever, you will have aged like 2 weeks in 3 days. You know what I'm saying?
It's stress.
I don't know, but that's what they say. That's what they say. They say like it's some weird energy on the mountain because some people don't believe it's actually a mountain. They believe it's a pyramid. You know what I'm saying? But like but like the government won't let you scale it, so nobody's ever scaled the mountain. So nobody knows like what's at the top of it. I mean, they have their lore that someone scaled the mountain, but like the government won't let you like climb the mountain. So it's a very very like there's a lot of weird murky things with Mount Kailash. So if you get a chance, like you should look it up, man. It's like it's crazy interesting. But anyway, a lot of
I might have been getting that one confused. There was another spot where they do let people scale it, but like people literally get so scared because of how treacherous like the path is. Like it gets to one point where there's like not even stairs or anything like that. Like it's just you're literally like up against the mountain, just try to go like this around it because there's nowhere to actually walk. And people like pass out, and like, well, they said like 10 people a year actually, don't make it essentially because it's that treacherous of a path. But on top of it, the Buddhist monks and stuff like that said to have reached some sort of enlightenment and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's what they say about Kailash, but like they won't let anybody climb it though. So they say like one guy climbed Mount Kailash like hundreds of years ago, but he reached absolute enlightenment and whatever. But like they won't let anybody climb it though. You know what I'm saying? So it's very interesting. But like I said, like a lot of the stuff with the Marishi 10 and like Skrap and all that stuff like that, like the formless state. I deal with like a lot of stuff with Mount Kailash, like the Marishi 10 statue, because there's only a handful of them in the world. Basically, they're made out of the stone that was from Mount Kailash. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's how like it's like we basically explain how they access that different realm. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, we go into depth with that, and that's like, to me, that's like super fascinating. But like I said, I mess around with the ideas of there's another character who's like one of the big bads, and like we like the reason her eyes are the way they are is like I want to allude to the fact that like there is some sort of formless type state that is with her. There's a latent thing, but
And
like
this is Zakiah?
no, this is not Zakiah. This is a whole different character.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, this is a whole different character. But like there's something with her that like they wonder why, like basically the governments in her country wonder why, like why are you so strong? Why are you so able to do all these things? Why are you like so good at like all of these different techniques and stuff like that? And the fact that your eyes like are this weird, it's like how I always have artists draw it is like, you know how like you have like people who have blind eyes, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like so their eyes are like that kind of clear, whatever. Like her eyes are like that permanently, you know what I'm saying? But like she can see fine, but
Yeah.
it's like for some reason they don't
They're
understand.
glossed over.
Yeah, they're like they have a yeah, it's kind of like Hinata or like Neji, like
Got you.
that type of glass that type of glass eye thing. But the whole thing is like she can see fine and all that stuff like that. It's just physically she is way more gifted and like way more like durable and like powerful than like everybody else. And the governments don't know why. You know what I'm saying? They don't know like, 'cause it wasn't like it wasn't like, hey, she was born like this. It was like something happened like in her childhood, and then
That
like
activated it.
it activated it, or like and they're just like she just started getting like this, and like so they've had people come in and like experiment with her and stuff like that, and wonder like why her cardio is like through the roof, why her strength is through the roof, why all these things are like what she is, and like but the problem is like they've thought about like the obvious thing with any government is like, hey, we can either breed her or clone her, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But like cloning is not something I dip into, not until like way later, and I do it in a different way. But like,
Okay.
breeding her, like they can't do it because basically somehow she's like sterile. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Uh-huh.
like we're hit. You know what I mean? How do we make this thing a thing, and we can't? You know what I'm saying? We can't replicate it again. So,
Oh, this
but
series is
like
about to go
yeah, but like
like this
there's a whole bunch of
this is definitely okay.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of different stuff that I do with that too, man. But yeah, I like even just with the fighting in general, I deal with like different characters and different philosophies of like how people deify people in martial arts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a character that is part of a a religious cult fighting gym. Is the best way I can describe it.
Okay.
But like they basically believe that they had like years ago they had a fighter who came out of their gym who was the perfect fighter. He was a champion. He was a champion. He was undefeated. He was untouched. His martial art was like, or his way of fighting like proved to be unbeatable. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like the dude was going places and stuff like that, and then somehow some way he ends up dying. But like his coach, like his original coach, like pretty much like went through and took all the tapes and everything like that and tried to replicate the system. And he started to do it, but then like once he something happened to him and he ends up dying. And so like the second coach in command takes this stuff and he's like, all this entire system is here. We have this legend of this fighter here, and I could basically start making these perfect fighters. But like in a way to get perfect fighters, he like kind of takes them through like this cult like religious thing of like devoting themselves to the gym, devoting themselves to like this martial art, and saying these fighters were the perfect fighters, and like then putting their using this system and putting it to place, and like having these fighters go out and fight people, and like they're winning, and like they're like on this road to being undefeated, and then like if the guy ends up losing, then the coach, this new coach who has this religious system in place, can be like, well, you didn't have enough faith. You know what I'm saying? And like the guys are people, because they're devoted to winning and they're devoted to like the gym, and because the gyms helped them become undefeated and all this other stuff, they give their lives religiously to like this system. You know what I'm saying? And they say this system is the greatest system in the world, and it can never, like, the only reason I lost is because I didn't have enough faith. You know what I'm saying? And then so they indoctrinate like future fighters in this whole idea. You know what I'm saying? And like, so yeah.
And these are people that Shannon and Zakiah are going to encounter at some point.
Yeah, these are people that Shannon and Zakiah will end up facing. So mainly Shannon, but like Zakiah will be there. But like there's a whole other path with like Zakiah.
A whole other world at this point.
Yeah. So it's like there's all sorts of stuff. What's up?
So to get ready to wrap up, we have Shannon, who's in jiu-jitsu, Zakiah kung fu.
Shannon is jiu-jitsu and like, you know, basically like karate. So Shannon has like a hybrid of karate and like it's basically, I just say karate. It's just karate and jiu-jitsu. Let's just say karate and jiu-jitsu without me going down a rabbit hole. But just say karate and jiu-jitsu.
Okay. So, and then we got kung fu on Zakiah's side, but one's tapping into formless state, which she gets that or starts that journey pretty early in
she starts the journey pretty early. And like there's a whole process of really her getting it. You know what I'm saying? She gets glimmers and glimpses, like, you know, in issue 5 there's like a glimmer of, hey, this thing is like with her, but she's not really understanding like what she's tapping into. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So
yeah.
I some months ago at this point, we did a I guess an early iteration of Indie Versus. We were talking with some folks from one guy from Concrete, the creator of Watchmen, Lyle. Basically, we was like, okay, let's get all these ground level indie characters, and he was just like, oh, I beat him in any of them. I was like, okay, well, does he run this gauntlet?
I remember this. I remember that.
And so one of the things is, like, I had Shannon up first, and I'm like, bro, she's literally tapping into powers with the goddess of combat, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, see, because that's the point. Like,
I don't.
That's the point. Like, if we talking about
all martial arts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the point with her, is if we talking about like her fighting somebody hands up, the problem is going to be like the longer they try to fight her, like the worse it's going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, because she's going to like, after that first 30 seconds, unless the dude one-shots her, like, and that's what I said before, unless the dude one-shots her, like, basically that after that first 30, 45 seconds, she's got them dead to rights because she knows like everything they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's going to be a horrible problem because she's going to read every punch, every kick, every step, everything that they're going to do. And like, there's nothing you can do about that. You know what I'm saying? How do you face this thing that's like reading you like this book and like basically downloading all of your data? You know what I'm saying? And it's hard. It's hard. And like me personally, I've sparred with pro fighters and stuff like that. And did you ever see did you watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so remember in like, is it season 2? I think it's season 2 because that was my favorite JoJo, where like the dude would like call out stuff and be like, and then you're gonna say
next you'll say,
and then next you'll say, but I'll say. So I remember this was like, I think it was earlier this year. I was sparring with this pro fighter, and he's my homeboy, but like I was sparring with him, and he did that to me in the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like while we were sparring, he did that to me. He was like, "Oh, you set up this, and you're gonna do this, and then you set up this, and you're gonna do this. You switch your stance, and you're gonna do this." While he's fighting me and whooping my ass, and I was like, "God, this is horrible." You know what I'm saying? And like, he was just like, you're gonna throw this type of level kick, and you're gonna throw this, and I was like, I was so mad at him, like, and he was cooking me. And it was just like,
Jesus.
but that's kind of the reality this guy would face. Like if you're fighting Shannon in a formless state, you know what I'm saying? So unless he comes in and completely one-shots her, like straight out, you know what I'm saying, straight out the gate, so she can't get going, the longer that fight gets, the worse it gets. You know, so
see,
yeah.
and then last question with that, Zakiah can do this too, just to confirm.
Zakiah, she can't use the formless state, but Zakiah has like the Aether Vine, and like she has just a lot of different tools, like a lot of different knives, like the Aether Vine. Well, the thing about the Aether Vine is, like I said, if you're familiar with Ivy's weapon from Soul Calibur, everything that does, you know what I'm saying? So, but the other added effect is the fact that like it can like reanimate the dead. You know what I'm saying? So basically like yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why it's called the Aether Vine, because it reaches into the aether to like, you know, basically like it can resurrect people, it can do a myriad of different things with like the undead, you know what I'm saying? So
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, but like that's almost kind of her equalizer. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it's the fact that Zakiah has weapons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's
She's
not
got a lot of other tools at her disposal.
exactly. So it's not about like her having like physical strength. It's the fact that she's got weapons. She's got, you know, poison claws or knives or darts or whatever, like to hem you up. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes her like such a problem, because it's not about, hey, let's, you know, feel each other out and, you know, get the whole thing going. It's like, no, I'm gonna throw something at you, blind you, I'm gonna stab you in the throat, and then after that, like, we'll figure it out, you know. So
shoot first, ask questions later.
Exactly. It's very much that.
So okay, well, with that, I think we will close out. You've given me a lot to work with. This is good. Before we close out, though, I want to excuse me, goodness gracious, I want to give an opportunity for you to let everybody know where they can find you at, where they can pick up the books, all that good stuff.
Skrapcomicofficial on Instagram. NPCcomics.com is where you can pick up the books, both digital and physical. And then like other than that, you know, I'm on Twitter at Juice Lee on Twitter. And then like, you know, we got other stuff that we're doing. I'm gonna start trying to do like Twitch streams. I've been meaning to do that for a while, just to, because, and like, I mean, yeah, I can play games on it, but like at the same time, I'm like, I just want to make stuff, because I've been getting deep into like making stuff, like making merch and stuff like that, like making shirts like this, and just doing all sorts of design stuff. So I'm just like, I'm gonna probably just start doing that and just kind of chatting with people and like, you know what I'm saying, just do something different, because I mean everybody games, and like some games that I have, like some of the games I have right now, like I can't really like focus and talk, and then other games where I can focus and talk, they're not like that exciting to watch, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't want to sit there and be like, hey, come watch me play City Skylines and chat with me, you know what I'm saying? Like,
What's gonna be that thing that's gonna
it's not gonna be exciting. Yeah, or it's gonna be like, hey, let me make this character in UFC 5, and like it'll be cool, but at the same time, like we're just gonna be grinding, because I'm not about to play people online, because I don't care that much about online gaming that much. You know what I'm saying? So
fair.
You know, so that's the thing. And then Spider-Man, like I don't know, like do you got a PS5?
I do.
So you got Spider-Man, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's another game I can't chat and talk with somebody on.
Oh no.
Yeah, because Spider-Man is like, you have to be completely engaged, because I'll be getting
kind of forces you to be, honestly.
No, seriously, that's the thing. Like Spider-Man right now, like I think Insomniac took that personally when they were like, oh, you know, once you get certain power-ups, you become a god. They took that personally. You know what I'm saying? Because they was like, oh yeah, you thought like, because bro, like I've been getting cooked, and like that's the whole thing. When you had the boss fights in this game now, where you just be like, okay, I'm fighting I don't know, Lizard. I'm gonna fight Lizard right now. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm fighting Lizard, and then like I get through that first one, I'm like, whoo, I'm cool. I'm all right. I got it done. Okay, let's go to the cutscene.
You thought
No,
this
we
was
got
done.
another round. This is like they come back and he's stronger, and it's like, okay, now I got to do this. It's like, okay, whew, I'm done. You know, like, no, we got another
You're
round.
back.
I'm like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like every time, like it's every like that's like what they did with these boss fights in this game, where there's like you thought, you know. So yeah, they be hitting you. So yeah. But yeah, that's not a game I can chat and talk with. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just wanted to I want to do stuff. I'm definitely trying to do stuff that's like gets more community. You know what I'm saying? Because I got like Discord and Discord be dry. You know what I mean? So it's like I want to like start trying to build community up. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing.
Okay. So. Well, look, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, now you know what to focus on. It's just a matter of just really honing in on that.
Yep.
So, but all right, yeah, this was another indie breakdown, guys. We got to talk about Shannon Noble and Zakiah from the story Skrap. Again, like he said, go ahead and check them out on all those social media links. We'll have all that stuff attached as well.
Yep. Also, you can pick up this shirt. Like the link is in my bio on my page. Instagram. On my Instagram. Like there's a link in the bio that has links to all the merch. So this shirt you can actually buy. You know what I'm saying? Like I always get a lot of compliments on this shirt, plus like compliments on a hoodie. And as a matter of fact, I just got like some new stuff in here in the mail today. You know what I'm saying?
So, first looks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is definitely a first look. And like I like this one. Like this is a hoodie I did. It's of the Marishi 10. And so but yeah, like
I get what that looks like.
I get like I really get into this. I got really into this designing thing, man. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like basically, you know, doing stuff like this is like, man, I wanted this stuff is like kind of fun, you know what I'm saying? And then we got the little little crispy, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, but let me show it one more time. Show that one more time now. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's the little hoodie, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like it's stuff like that, man. You know what I'm saying? And then like, you know, basically like Shannon and Zakiah's school, like the St. Rush Academy, you know what I'm saying? Like I got like a little jacket for that. I actually got to send this to my homegirl. She's supposed to like model this for me. Okay. But boom, this joint right here. So
nice.
Yeah. Okay. And you know, there's like an image that I have like online of Shannon wearing this exact jacket. So
okay.
So yeah, like basically stuff like that, man. Like I'll be sitting there like for hours like designing this stuff, man, and it's kind of my thing, you know what I mean? Okay. So I'm like, well, shoot, I can stream that, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
and just have fun and just like
the in-universe kind of design concept stuff. That's
yeah. Okay. So that's kind of what's up. Like if I can't draw, but you know what I'm saying, I could mess around and mess with all this art and like put this art on stuff, or put this art on shirts and phone cases and all that stuff like that. Just having a little fun. So
okay.
Yep.
Well, there you go. I think you honed in exactly on what you need to do. Just do it, bro.
Yeah. So,
but of course, you guys got it again where you guys can pick that stuff up at. We're Midnight Comics, so definitely visit midnightcomics.org. And thank you guys for tuning into another episode of Indie Breakdown. Don't forget to check us out on Patreon, where you guys get these episodes first. And then of course we have our community character creation night, as well as behind the scenes and exclusive looks at comics that we have getting worked on in the background. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. And remember, until next time, I didn't say our social media. You can find us at Midnight X Comics everywhere except for Facebook and YouTube. And I think that about covers it this time around. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. And remember, until next time, everybody, midnight is coming.
Right. Thanks.